America is under attack.
We cannot stop the progression. We cannot stop them going north.
By creatures capable of killing humans.
You either get away from them, or you lay down and die.
You know, it's just like, you know, give me the strength to stay alive.
These mutant beasts are a science experiment gone wrong.
One biologist likes to call them a biological time bomb.
Attacking those that cross their path. These are giant swarms of killer bees.
All right, here they come. Back out. The way that they are attacking, there's no doubt about it. They're living monsters.
People around the world report seeing monsters. Are they real or imaginary? Science searches for answers on MonsterQuest. The Southwest. A desert landscape where temperatures can soar above 100 degrees, and only the toughest creatures can survive. The diamondback rattler and the bark scorpion thrive here. And now another deadly creature may be joining them. Traveling in massive swarms, they seem to be heading here. Giant killer bees.
They were in my eyes, my ears, my mouth, my arms, my hands. They were just all over me.
It's a monstrous type insect. It's very scary.
This was spread out. This was, I guess you'd call an attack, you know, like planes attacking a ship.
I looked at their faces and I didn't have to say anything. I read it. And then the bees came after me immediately.
Eyewitnesses report dense swarms of killer bees. Black and yellow in color, they work together as the ultimate killing machine. They use their lethal stinger, made up of lancets that inject a venomous toxin into their victims. These frightening swarms are the result of an experiment gone wrong. In the late 1950s, a scientist was attempting to crossbreed European honeybees with highly productive but very aggressive African bees. The mutant bees escaped and steadily moved towards North America. Giant killer bee swarms are thought to be responsible for the deaths of over 1,000 people.
They were completely just about 1.5 inches thick around my head. And it felt like I was on fire.
Jeff Moser was helping a friend clean up his backyard when he heard something loud approaching him.
All I saw was a cloud of dust. And it's come to realize, as soon as I saw the cloud of dust, it turned out that it was just a huge swarm of bees. Got maybe about 120 feet or so, and I stumbled, got back up again, and I guess I was waving my arms everywhere, trying to keep them away from my face. I ended up ripping my shirt off, or pulled my shirt off my back, and I was going to use that to cover my mouth and my nose and keep running. But when I pulled it inside out, it was completely full of bees, and at that point, I just couldn't run anymore. I just had no more muscle. So I ended up getting on my knees and my elbows, like, you know, crouched down, and I took my hands and just covered my mouth and covered my nose. I was spitting bees out of my mouth and blowing them out of my nose while this was going on. I was just burning up. And my thoughts were my family. I just wanted to stay alive. I was praying, you know.
Moser was stung over 4,000 times, and the levels of venom in his system were so high that his organs began to shut down.
And I think at that point is when I started losing consciousness.
When Moser's condition deteriorated, he was airlifted from Las Vegas to Phoenix, where specialists could treat him.
I woke up in the emergency room with 6 doctors pulling stingers out of me. It was just frightening. The main thing that kept going through my head was my family. And that was the hardest. I didn't want to die. And as you could tell, it still bugs me. I just didn't want to go out that way.
In addition to their attacks on humans, these giant swarms of killer bees have almost completely wiped out the honeybee in the southwest United States. Experts estimate that there are 5 million killer bee hives in Arizona alone, each giant hive containing up to 80,000 bees. And now it appears these killer bees may be headed even further north and adapting to colder temperatures. But some scientists, like Dr. Marla Spivak, believe giant killer bees aren't a serious problem and feel the threat is exaggerated.
The African bees are not really a problem in the southern United States. They've disrupted beekeeping a little bit, so some beekeepers that were used to keeping very gentle colonies of bees have had to either stop beekeeping or adapt to keeping a more defensive kind of honeybee. People are really afraid of stinging insects like bees and wasps, and so the thought of having a swarm of bees get on you and start attacking and stinging is really threatening and scary to many people.
However, there seems to be evidence to contradict Spivak. The swarms have been spotted as far north as Missouri and have killed humans in both Texas and Arizona. Now MonsterQuest will investigate this terrifying new threat. The expedition team will travel to Nevada to see if the bees have spread there. They'll also attempt to gather specimens in the mountains of northern Arizona to determine if the bees are able to survive in cold climates. The science team will then analyze the bees to see if they are from the mutant strain, and they will also conduct an experiment to determine just how aggressive these creatures have become. The search begins in Bisbee, southern Arizona. Reed Booth, a bee expert, will lead the expedition. He heads to a location where suspected giant killer beehives have been spotted.
Bees will live in anything. Out in the natural world, they live in hollow trees and caves, the eaves of our house, Spanish tile roofs, under trailers, in cars, in trunks. I have seen killer bees kill people, literally, kill horses. They will attack anything that moves, anything that makes noise, smells, and they won't do it a little bit. They will attack until something is dead or gone.
The team arrives at a deserted ranch. The goal is to determine if the bees are the harbored strain and whether they're getting more aggressive.
All right. Very quietly, we'll see what's going on. See if we can see any activity, flight path, bees coming and going. I don't see any snakes yet. Okay, we got one.
Right there.
We got one. Oh, that's huge. Look at all the guard bees.
They quickly locate 2 large hives.
Boy, that's going to be a big one. There are 2 huge hives in there. This house has been abandoned for probably 50 years at least. There's old drywall construction from years and years ago, and there's many holes in the walls. The one hive has a massive amount of guard bees, which normally indicates an extremely large and mean hive. The larger the hive, the meaner they are as a rule. More aggressive these killer hives are.
The team wears thick nylon anti-sting suits, but they're not 100% effective.
I think we're good. This elastic is good.
Okay.
Right. Then we'll go to battle. Okay, let's go see what these guys have. We're gonna have to remove this counter. We have a lot of guard bees here. These bees are so bad, they killed a barn owl. You can see them stinging the dead corpse. They don't care what they sting. They will kill anything. And they killed this poor barn owl. Here's another entrance. Now here's the second entrance in this abandoned building. And this, again, could be very full of bees. Okay, they're not over here, but where you see the vibration, you see the vibration? They hate vibration. Look at them coming out, getting ready to take flight and attack. Here they come. Okay, this is going to be a serious hive. Now, I have not disrupted their front door. I'm just making vibration. You can see them pouring out of there in seconds. That was 3 seconds. Look at the aggression with these bees. Attacking, unbelievable. Stingers being pulled out. Ouch.
When the giant swarms of killer bees attack their victims, they release a chemical pheromone, an airborne signal that tells the rest of the hive to join in a mass attack.
All right, here they come. We already have part of the hive out, but we can get a lot more of the hive out. Look at them. The alarms have been sent out, and here they come. Let's just stand here for a minute and see how aggressive these bees are. How many come out? Well, I'd say we already have at least 10, maybe 15,000 bees out. They are pouring out of there like water. Ouch. Whoa, whoa. Whoa, you guys are just something else, aren't you? They're still coming, pouring out. We will have 80 to 90% of this hive out by the time that we start walking into the desert. This super aggressive behavior like this 5, 7 years ago, 10 years ago, not evident at all. Not evident. And they are just attacking me. Something horrible. Look at them all stinging my glove. You can see them pulling themselves off, dying in the process. And they're still pouring off. We must have 60% of the hive out now attacking. Ow! Ow!
Oh, yeah, I know.
Let's go. Let's go. Back out. I'll give it another tap for good measure, and we will go outside and just see how far they will chase me.
Killer bees have a unique and chilling characteristic. They will relentlessly pursue fleeing victims, in essence, a killer instinct. Most scientists believe they will chase their prey for up to a quarter of a mile from the site of an attack. The team will test that theory.
Ouch. They are still bouncing off me like hail. They are following the pheromone trail as if we were right at the hive. This is incredible. This is incredible. These are true monsters. You want monsters? Look no further. This is the real deal. Be a quarter of a mile shortly, maybe a little more. And they're attacking just like it was no tomorrow, just like we were just standing there, right at the hive. Super aggressive behavior. And 5 to 10 years ago, they would have been tapering off by now. But they are not. You can see how far we are from the house, and it's just not stopping. I've been stung. I've easily been stung 40 times through the suit on this job.
The hive of angry killer bees pursues the team well beyond a half mile, stinging them hundreds of times.
Okay, well, it's been about 10, 15 minutes since we walked away from that hive, and you could just keep walking through the desert and they would just stick with you for, we really don't know how far at this point. The old theory was a quarter of a mile in the past. Obviously, that's out the window right now.
MonsterQuest is on the trail of giant swarms of killer bees that are invading the United States. The oldest known bee specimen was found perfectly preserved in amber in a Burmese mine. Radiocarbon dating showed it was over 100 million years old. The bees' once primitive defense mechanisms evolved over time as humans became interested in farming their honey.
In the early days, it was strictly honey hunting. It was watching worker bees returning to their colonies, locating the colonies, and then robbing the nest. And so some enterprising person in some little tribe got an idea and said, yeah, we'll catch a swarm and we'll see what happens. People have been keeping bees for at least 5,000 years.
To the ancients, swarms of bees were seen as an omen of death. They were said to have foretold the defeat of Pompeii by Caesar in the Battle of Pharsalus in 48 BC. 2,000 years later, the omen has become a very real danger.
When did we go from good bees to bad bees?
It started in the jungles of southern Brazil, 300 miles to the west of Rio de Janeiro. In the early 1950s, a scientist developed a mutant strain of honeybee, an experiment that would have disastrous consequences.
He was a geneticist. His name is Warwick Kerr. And he heard that the South Africans were producing record amounts of honey. He also knew that this certain African bees were very rugged and can live in a very diverse environmental circumstance. He had met with his government, and they gave him the okay to import certain African species or subspecies to Brazil. But he wanted to keep them under quarantine to avoid escaping.
Then, in 1957, a deadly mistake.
An assistant working in the field removed what we call queen excluders. They're a special little bridge that allows the workers to get through, but not the queens. That way you don't have escapees. He removed all the queen excluders from their experimental hives.
26 killer bee queens escaped from their hives, with their worker bees following close behind. The swarm spread like wildfire through the jungles and mountains of South America, leaving a trail of death and destruction.
They were making about 200 miles a year, moving northward.
The mutant killer bees soon reached Mexico, and reports of human deaths increased in number. Americans were quickly alerted to the impending invasion of these swarms and the danger they presented.
When they are spooked and upset, then they go into hypervigilant defense. And I'm putting it mildly, because it can turn from a God-given gift, okay, going back to symbolism, to something that you just can't believe.
Black mass, sir. A moving black mass. Mile by mile, city by city.
The escape of the giant killer bee swarms led to frightening depictions of the havoc they could bring to America. In 1990, the deadly swarms finally crossed the Mexico-U.S. border. The first American victim was killed on a ranch outside Grande City, Texas. Numerous attacks followed across the southwestern United States.
Alvin 911, do you have an emergency? Ma'am, we have a lady in Alva that has honeybees stinging us. Go ahead, ma'am. Please hurry, they've been biting me for a long time.
This call from a home in Alvin, Texas was made following a surprise attack by a giant swarm.
Are you allergic to bee bites? I don't know. I've never been stung this many times. Okay.
The attack was thwarted by a police officer who managed to smoke out the swarm and save the woman's life. Scientists believe these killer bees are becoming increasingly aggressive and highly organized.
They just keep going until their threat is down and dead. And on autopsies, these bees with their plan of attack, they will crawl in your nostrils, they will crawl in your ear canals, and on autopsy, they've been discovered numerously in your esophagus. So they crawl down your throat and sting you in the esophagus. And you know that with an allergic reaction placed directly in those areas will kill you.
Gloria de Grande Hoffman, a bee researcher, has tracked the spread of the giant killer bee swarms.
This map shows the spread of African bees in the southern United States after its initial introduction in the southernmost part of Texas. What they did is those bees began to move northward and primarily westward initially until they covered the southern tier of Texas and moved on into New Mexico and Arizona.
For decades, scientists believed the killer bee strain, which evolved in the tropics, wouldn't be able to survive in colder climates. Dr. Hoffman, however, says they have crossbred with native bees, enabling them to adapt to the weather.
The African bees are a hybrid between a European and an African, and those genes seem to have established themselves in those populations that can make it through the winter. They've retained African traits, and they've also co-opted some European traits, so they're a true hybrid.
The science team will now conduct an experiment to test whether these mutant killer bees have indeed adapted to cooler temperatures.
So what we've done is take a colony of African bees and put them into this cold chamber to watch their clustering behavior. It's cold inside there, much colder than out here.
They place a hive of several thousand killer bees into a chamber where the temperature is just 23 degrees Fahrenheit. They will monitor the bees over an 8-hour period to see if they can adapt to survive.
We're going to see how well these bees can thermoregulate their nests when they're in this kind of cold climate.
The MonsterQuest expedition team has traveled 400 miles north to Las Vegas, Nevada, a place known for temperature extremes. During the day, the thermometer regularly climbs above 100 degrees Fahrenheit. But at night, it can drop below 32 degrees. If the bees can survive here, they can survive anywhere.
Okay, I'm here in Las Vegas, Nevada, looking for anywhere where killer beehives might be, which, from what I can see, is everywhere.
An infestation in an urban environment could be extremely dangerous.
If killer beehives started moving into the Strip in numbers, it could be real bad for the patrons, the people just walking along on the street. Get into some serious trouble, especially if there were a few hives that were closer together. As when one hive gets riled up, they all get riled up, of course, and it could be a real catastrophe here. All of these buildings and high-rises and casinos and hotels have so many places where bees could sneak in, build a hive without anyone knowing until somebody got into trouble. So that's what we're going to be looking for.
The team begins its search at night, when giant swarms are usually inactive. The goal is to capture some of the creatures for testing.
Okay, we're looking for any place that a killer beehive could be located. And they could live in a vent such as that there. They like to live where it's warm if possible, of course. This is a big electrical generator for something, but you can guarantee it's warm. And they could easily live underneath this platform right here. They also love to live actually in the bases of telephone poles. I remove them all the time. The bases will get rotted out and hollow, and the bees will go in and live in the base of the telephone pole. Any of these vents, as long as they don't get washed out, of course, but usually a lot of times where there's vents like this, there will be a crack around the drain or the vent, and they can go into the hollow block. This building looks pretty good at this point, but we'll continue our search. And these are extremely dangerous situations when you have a killer beehive in such an urban area and such a setting like this with so many people around. It's so dangerous, and people do get attacked quite a bit. They come out of their house and all of a sudden see the bees flying around and they get stung. The harder we look, the more likely we are to find, of course. But we will find killer beehives in Vegas. They are here. There's no doubt about it.
MonsterQuest is on the Strip in Las Vegas, searching for swarms of killer bees. These deadly creatures may be moving north, infesting urban areas and adapting to colder environments. It is in densely populated areas that the swarms have the greatest potential for terror.
You became a target. No matter what you were doing, walking through, just stepping out of your car, it was intense.
Bisbee, Arizona is just east of Tucson. In 1998, police were called to investigate a bizarre disturbance in the midst of the town's shopping district.
As we were arriving on scene, it was kind of a The situation was kind of unusual. There was abandoned vehicles on the gulch. Doors were open and people were running down the street.
The cause quickly became apparent.
Once we got closer, I could see that there was bees in the air.
But rescuing victims was next to impossible.
I got out of the truck, went around the back to put my gear on because I could see the cloud of bees ahead. And as soon as I got to the back, I was suddenly just carpeted. I had my entire head, shoulders, they were in my shirt, crawling down my arms. I'm not even sure how many times I'd been stung, but numerous times.
You could see the swarm initially, then you could hear it, and then you could feel it. And it would seem like every time the swarm would go from one area to the other, groups would peel off and make these attacks. There was a female that was obviously in distress. I got out of my vehicle to try to get her into my car. At that time, I couldn't imagine how many times that she had been stung because she had been out there for so long.
The giant swarm seemed to have its own agenda.
I did feel that the bees were working together as one. They definitely would move as a unit, as a cloud.
It would gather together in this dark ball and then just attack whatever it was.
I'd run into the Africanized bees down through Central America when I was in the service, but I'd never seen bees this aggressive. Down in the jungles there, is usually if you can head through some thick brush, get 50 yards away, they'd leave you alone. Here, I was almost 200 yards away from their hive, and I was still being attacked.
7 of the victims ended up in the hospital. It took 8 hours for firefighters to restore the area to safety.
I don't think I've ever, even prior to that incident, been involved in anything as intense.
I've gotten a call from a contact here in Las Vegas that has located a potentially very dangerous hive in a residential area. We don't know if it's a killer bee hive or not, but we're going to go find out.
The expedition team meets local exterminator Shane Yeager. He says there is an aggressive beehive close by, and he suspects it might be inhabited by killer bees.
And you say they've been there over 3 years.
Yeah.
Being there that long, as you know, Shane, the older the hive and the larger the hive, the worse they are. So yeah. I'm really glad I'm looking over the fence here, and it looks like we don't have any neighbors right backed up against us, thank goodness. So we're not hopefully going to kill anyone.
Scientists say the killer bees are learning new survival strategies while developing a new tolerance for extreme temperatures.
The myths are abound, of course, that they can't live where it's cold, et cetera, et cetera. How cold does it get here Fahrenheit in the winter?
We get dipped down to freezing. We have probably a week of 30 degrees. Mm-hmm. And I know last winter we had a record amount of snow.
The team suits up and approaches the hive.
So we're going to go and let's grab the loppers.
Okay.
And we'll go make some room for us to work and stir it up a little bit. See how active these guys are.
Let's do it. So let's grab some of the heavy machinery, sledgehammer.
All right, very good.
And then we'll have a whack. Knock a few of these off right with the concrete joint.
Very good. Okay, I'll move my stuff back. Well, you can hear it. They're in attack mode.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. They're getting aggressive. I don't see any activity again at the top.
Nowhere else on the fountain. God darn it, the hole is just strange enough so I've got, a few in there, but I think what we're going to have to do is open her up.
The bees strike almost immediately.
I can open up a second block, too.
Oh, here you go.
Oh, my.
You got pump?
Let me hit one more shot.
Come here. Oh, yeah. Let's get a little bit here. Yeah, let's get a little bit here.
They attempt to gather samples for analysis at the lab, but the attack is making it extremely difficult.
It's heavy.
That's 100 or so. These are definitely acting so aggressive. There's no doubt about it. They're a living monster. And like we've talked before, a beehive, they don't act as individuals. These are all acting as one unit.
all right? They're all thinking the exact same way, and that is to drive us off and kill us. I would stake my life on it that these are not European bees.
Yeah.
Entomologist Dr. Marla Spivak does not believe an invasion of giant killer bee swarms is imminent.
They've only moved into climates to which they're adapted. They're really sensitive to their environment, and if there's not enough water, or if there's too much rainfall, or if there's not enough flowers, floral resources, they're not going to move out of those areas. They're going to stay where the conditions are good for them.
Spivak considers most of the United States an unsuitable killer bee habitat.
As you go farther north in the United States, past Texas, past New Mexico and Arizona, the winters get colder and colder and colder, and Africanized bees are really not adapted to temperate, colder climates. They're an African bee. They like warm, tropical climates, and Minnesota, for example, would not be on their list of places to visit. It's too cold here in the winter. They like warm, tropical places.
To test the theory, the science team is analyzing how the hive behavior of killer bees changes when the temperature drops below freezing. The bees have been exposed to 23-degree temperatures for 3 hours, but the thermal camera reveals an area of red where the bees are thriving.
So what we're seeing here, and also what the thermal camera is showing us, is that they are starting to gather toward the center of the frame, which is the warmest part of the hive. You can see they're moving up from the bottom of the frame towards the center and gathering in a cluster. And this is the hottest part of the colony right now. So they're trying to keep each other warm, and they're also trying to keep the queen warm. And they'll continue to do this as they get colder and colder.
The giant swarms of bees seem to be learning strategies to survive in the cold by crossbreeding and adapting to the environment.
So this behavior indicates that the Africanized bees would also thermoregulate their nest in a similar way to European bees, that they could survive in colder climates as well.
MonsterQuest is searching America, investigating giant swarms of killer bees that may be growing more aggressive and attacking humans.
They were in my eyes, my ears, my mouth, my arms, my hands. They were just all over me.
Tom Housley, a former soldier, has dealt with dangerous situations before, but nothing has prepared him for this attack.
I was in the Special Forces in the service when I was young, and that wasn't scary. I've taken guns away from people and knives, and that wasn't really scary, but this was scary.
Housley was mowing the lawn in his backyard when he accidentally ran over a massive hive containing some 100,000 killer bees.
I was being hit by these bees, and pretty soon there was hundreds or thousands of them. I just jumped off the mower and I started running. I was yelling, "God, I'm dead, call the paramedics," you know. I was scared, just scared. I panicked really bad because I thought if I'd ever got stung, I thought I was a dead man.
His neighbor, hearing the noise, came to investigate.
The way he was hollering, I knew something was wrong. As I got closer, I realized there was bees.
I was looking for a place to hide, and then there was no place to go. And then Tommy showed up, and it was like heaven had opened the doors, you know.
He was definitely in fear of his life, and he was panicked, no doubt.
With Housley clinging to life, his neighbor went back outside to warn others in the area. Within seconds, the killer bees had found a new target.
I guess you'd call an attack force, like planes attacking a ship. It was spread out and moving in. They stung me all over, in my neck, in my face.
After the paramedics got here, I was trembling so bad, and they said I was hyperventilating.
Both men were lucky to survive.
I can't compare it to anything else I've dealt with in my life. You either get away from them, or you lay down and die till you're no longer a danger to them.
The science team has received the first samples gathered in Las Vegas. They will analyze the specimens to see if the deadly killer bees are surviving in these cooler temperatures.
The first stage in morphometrics is called FABIS, and that's a series of tests where we just measure the right forewing of each bee. We take 10 wings and mount them on slides. And this gives us an analysis to determine whether we can rule out if they're European or African.
The images of the wings are projected for comparison.
I'm guessing that these bees are African just because the measurements are very small. This one is at an 8.8. This one here is, again, at 8.8. Usually with European bees, we tend to see numbers more around 9.1, 9.2. So my guess is that they're going to be African, but the FABIS test, again, is just a preliminary test.
The expedition team is headed to northern Arizona. It's an area that has experienced some of the most recent and violent giant swarm attacks. The team is trying to determine if the bees are surviving in the colder mountainous regions of the state.
A standard assumption, especially in the scientific community, is that killer bees can't live at these higher elevations and at these lower temperatures. I tend to believe that they can. A couple of reasons. They have a higher metabolism. Their wings actually beat faster, and they also store up to twice as much honey in a larger hive. So they can keep the hive warmer in colder conditions. Honey is pure energy. And if they can collect enough honey, they can survive.
Okay, here we are, Dennis. Let's go ahead and go.
The team will attempt to collect samples that can be sent to the laboratory for analysis.
What is the general elevation of the area here in this area? What is a minimum and a maximum?
Right here, we're pretty close to 7,000 feet.
Okay.
We're just north of downtown Flagstaff.
What kind of temperatures do you see in the winter?
The lowest temperature is maybe minus 27. Yeah, so we'll just maybe go look at this colony that's in the oak tree.
Okay, very good. Let's do that. We can get some samples and maybe see how aggressive they are.
The team begins with a scout of the outskirts of town, where they believe giant swarms are likely to colonize. They've received a tip of a sighting in this residential area.
Well, this is a honey customer of mine that called and said he just has bees in his backyard. Seems like they're going in the pallet space near the ground.
They're down under the pallet.
And
looks like a pretty good sized hive. Of course, we have no idea if they're killer bees or not yet.
In order to get a closer look, the team suits up. They'll also prepare a smoker, which they hope will have a calming effect on the swarm.
Well, it's there if we need it.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's go ahead and...
If these bees are of the mutant variety, it will be proof that the swarms are capable of surviving at high altitude, and therefore in colder climates.
They're getting a little feisty.
MonsterQuest is searching America for giant swarms of killer bees that are moving northwards on a murderous rampage. This man was the victim of a brutal giant swarm attack in Las Vegas. This expert believes the giant killer bees are adapting and learning to live in more extreme environments. This homeowner was stung more than 500 times by an angry swarm.
I'm pretty convinced that we're actually going to find wild killer bee hives at 7,000 or 8,000 feet.
The expedition team has located a hive in northern Arizona, and the bees are displaying very aggressive behavior.
I mean, we are messing with them, and the more we mess with them, of course, the more aggressive they're gonna be. But if we can get a piece up where we can get a bunch more in here, then the scientists can tell us.
The Carl Hayden Bee Research Center is located in southern Arizona. Mona Chambers is analyzing the high-altitude samples.
So these bees are from Flagstaff. It looks like we're going to have to run a full morphometrics analysis because the numbers are on the small side. The wing lengths are 9.0, which is on the edge.
Killer bees generally have a wing length under 9.1 millimeters.
So because this looks like it might be Africanized, we'll go ahead and run a full morphometrics analysis. And that'll be a much more in-depth procedure, and it'll give us a definitive answer for honeybee type.
A positive result will be proof that giant killer bee swarms are adapting to cold climate regions.
Once we get all of the parts dissected, we analyze them using a computer program that measures all of the different body parts that we've dissected out.
Finally, the tests are complete, and the results are definitive.
Okay, so we have the results from the morphometrics test. The bees that were sent from Las Vegas are Africanized, and that's with a probability of 100%. And the bees from Flagstaff were also Africanized, again with 100% probability.
Biologist Daniel Lebas has reviewed the data from cold temperature experiments and believes it shows the giant swarm's ability to adapt should not be underestimated.
11 years ago, other bee biologists and government officials were saying, well, we don't believe these bees can go any further north than, let's say, the 34th parallel. Okay. It is very possible that within 15 more years or so, that the bees will have visited all the lower 48. And there's no reason that they won't move all the way up to Washington and Vancouver, and then they will visit the southern coast of Alaska.
The MonsterQuest expedition has uncovered some interesting results. Tests have shown killer bees can survive in colder weather areas by clustering within the hive and raising temperatures. The samples gathered prove that these killer bees have already established hives in much colder environments. The team also determined that the bees are more aggressive and will relentlessly pursue their prey for distances up to a mile and beyond.
Nothing has ever spread like this, like a plague, throughout the country, causing havoc, literally. These monsters are going north, and they are getting into cities and small towns.
Are they intelligent? Yeah, you bet they are. They have a group intelligence. And if they didn't have it, they wouldn't be so successful.
They don't stop until whatever they're attacking is dead.
It attacks from above.
It looked like a cross between a man and a bat.
Relentlessly pursuing its victims.
It jumped on the hood of the car.
It's believed to be an omen of death and disaster.
It was actually some sort of a warning, a dark angel of some sort.
This winged beast could be an omen of doom.
He definitely saw something that was flying ahead of his vehicle, very large.
It's such an eerie feeling to see something like right out of a horror movie.
Now, MonsterQuest searches the skies of America.
Here we go. We have contact.
For the mysterious Mothman.
There we go. There's something. I don't know if that's an animal.
People around the world report seeing monsters. Are they real or imaginary? Science searches for answers on MonsterQuest. La Crosse, Wisconsin. This former trapping outpost sits on the banks of the Mississippi River. It's near some of the last untouched wilderness in the Midwest, and a perfect hiding place.
Wingspan 10, 15 feet.
Looked like a man with wings and red eyes.
And it stood up, and it's probably like 7.5 to 8 feet tall.
And it jumped right up on top of the building and then just turned and sat down and crouched like a gargoyle.
Eyewitnesses report seeing a creature 7 feet tall, with a large wingspan 10 to 15 feet across, and weighing an estimated 250 pounds. Part man and part beast, it has dark hair and eyes that glow a ghostly red at night. In flight, the monster is said to reach unimaginable speeds. The Mothman has struck terror in the hearts of residents here for decades. Tales of being pursued by a winged beast are common. But most frightening, the beast seems to show up just before local tragedies and seems to be appearing again.
The first thing I saw were the eyes and what I thought maybe were teeth.
A local Cherokee man was being driven home by his son when they encountered the Mothman. They sped up and started making sharp turns to shake the animal. But the beast pursued them undeterred.
The first thing we saw was this winged creature, 14-foot wingspan at least. It was huge. It was almost covered half the road.
When the car slowed down, the monster attacked the vehicle.
And it was close enough for me almost to reach out and touch and almost hit the windshield.
The terrifying encounter gave the man a clear look at the monster.
It had a wide mouth. The eyes were the size of the reflectors that are alongside the road. The body was attached to the wings. It had gray and brown hair-like, but not much hair. More fleshy, kind of like a bat. That's why I called it a man bat, because it looked like a cross between a man and a bat.
The attack ended when the creature abruptly changed directions before their eyes.
It was like in mid-air at windshield height. I have never seen an animal move like that. It just went straight up.
But as it departed, the creature let out a shriek.
We heard the sound in our heads. It was kind of like vertigo. It made us sick to our stomach, real high-pitched ringing. And my son swerved and went off the road. He was driving, and he opened the driver's door and threw up, and I got sick.
The man returned to the location a couple of days later. What he found was even more disturbing.
We went out to look at the site and thinking maybe it had come out of the bushes there someplace, or it was on the road or whatever, and found a deer carcass that looked like it was filleted, laying alongside the ditch.
The appearance of the creature matched historic descriptions of the Mothman.
When you see something that's frightening, it looms large in the consciousness.
He escaped it.
Author Joe Nickell questions the Mothman's existence.
If you see something very briefly, if you're seeing it at night, if you don't know the distance from you to that creature, and if you misjudge the distance, you misjudge the height. People are just guessing. So you have what are called multiple unknowns. You have an unknown creature of an unknown size and an unknown distance, and you're telling us one of those based on what?
Nickell believes that the witnesses have come in contact with a known animal and simply have misidentified what they're seeing.
There is something in nature that looks very much like what they described, and it's in the family of the strigiforms, the owls, with its rounded head, its relative lack of a neck, its big wings, its huge bicycle reflector, eye shine. It is very accurate description of the barred owl. that creature, except for its size, would be a very good fit for Mothman.
MonsterQuest will travel across the country to determine if the Mothman is myth or reality. A sketch artist will create a composite of the creature to determine if witnesses are seeing the same beast. The science team will conduct an experiment to find out if the perception of witnesses can be trusted as accurate. And the expedition team will travel to Wisconsin to examine the area of the most recent sightings. The river bluffs of Trempealeau County, just north of La Crosse. It is an area filled with habitat that is ideal for the beast to hunt and stalk its prey.
Wow. I have a mole. This is going real vertical right now, but I think we'll be all right if we got the handholds going on here.
The team will be led by wildlife tracker Mark Peterson.
There are reports of giant winged creatures in this area, and there have been recent sightings. Some of these people are very, very emphatic about what they've seen. Not necessarily that it's this creature or that creature, as much as it's a large winged creature that has a wingspan of the width of a road. And these people are pretty serious about it. So, I mean, it's got to be something.
The idea that there could be some sort of large winged humanoid creature flying around the United States, you know, it sounds bizarre, but it's just exactly the sort of thing that I investigate.
Especially that new place that we get to.
Cryptozoologist Nick Redfern will assist Peterson in the search.
Most of the reports that we have on record, the recent reports, are very, very similar in many respects to the original Mothman sightings, talking about not just a giant bird, but more like a winged, almost humanoid type creature. And that does fit the bill of Mothman. So given the time factor, this actually allows us to really do an up-to-date, in-depth investigation and really get hot on the trail of these recent reports.
There's no known animal indigenous to the U.S. at all of this size.
According to Native American legend, large winged creatures have lived around Trempealeau County for over a century.
We're going to be looking for evidence of predator-type activity where, you know, it's killed another creature for food. You know, if there's some really strange kills, can we apply that to the presence of a large winged creature?
The isolated mountain peak is an ideal location for a monster hiding from view.
I'm really excited to get to some of the top of these mountains out here because any large winged animal would be at the top because, again, they can simply jump off a branch, hit the thermals, and just basically ride the wave.
Peterson uses state-of-the-art topographical software to assess the terrain of the area.
What we need to do is figure out where we're going in these hills.
Okay.
We are right here by Brady's Bluff.
Okay.
All right. What I think, if you agree, is we should grab ourselves a canoe and canoe over across here to Trempealeau Mountain, where all this ancient Indian lore is.
Okay.
And we could hike up that mountain and see what we can find up there.
One of the things that kind of stood out for me looking at that scene is that Trempealeau Mountain seems to be isolated from all the other peaks.
Yep.
Do you think that could be significant in terms of if there is a large winged creature, that it would pick a solitary peak rather than the ones where maybe there's a lot of hikers?
Well, any animal at all is going to want solitude and privacy and seclusion.
The team is scouting for possible sighting locations.
A number of witnesses have said that Mothman has these two large glowing red eyes. So what we're going to do is we're going to try and film the eye shine on regular animals and then analyze the footage and try and determine if it's possible that some of the witnesses may well have perhaps seen conventional regular animals but mistakenly interpreted them as glowing red eyes. And we're on our way.
Way up there.
Grab it here?
Yep.
Okay.
Still in there and we'll be just fine.
Peterson and Redfern begin the journey to the isolated peak.
straight ahead is Trumpelow Mountain.
That's cool. That's where we'll be heading.
Yep.
Redfern notices a key element to the terrain.
So if there really was a big thing here, it would be actually the ideal location for takeoff and landing as well as living there.
Oh, absolutely.
And I suppose the bigger the thing was, it would need a high peak to live on, wouldn't it?
Absolutely. Yeah. I think there might be a landing spot up here, Nick. You want to just go ahead and get out and just pull me up a little bit?
I'll do that. Well, this is the place.
That is high.
MonsterQuest is on the hunt for a terrifying winged beast called the Mothman. West Virginia, the heart of Appalachia, once the largest old-growth forest in the world. Its hollers and valleys are a perfect home for this legendary beast. The monster came to the public's attention in 1966, when West Virginia newspapers began reporting on a series of strange sightings. The tiny town of Point Pleasant was the epicenter for the encounters.
I don't think we've ever been so scared.
Linda Scarberry first saw the creature when she was driving in the countryside one night.
Our headlights hit this thing standing next to the big power plant building. Looked like a man with wings and red eyes. We didn't know what it was. But I don't think we've ever been so scared. We sat there for just a minute or two, and then we took off real fast to get to the main highway. When we got out there, it was waiting on us.
Scarberry, her husband, and two friends tried to escape. But the creature pursued them at speeds approaching 100 miles an hour.
We could hear it right over top of the car, and the wings kept hitting the top of the car.
Eventually, they reached Point Pleasant's downtown, and the creature was gone. The terrified witnesses tried to file a police report.
They didn't believe a word we said if we didn't know what we was doing and all that stuff. We weren't. I mean, we know what we saw.
The strange encounter still haunts Scarberry.
I'll never forget it. It's just like it was yesterday.
The sighting was just the first of nearly 100 encounters near Point Pleasant.
To this day, they can't explain what it was that they encountered.
Despite the sightings, the beast's identity remained unknown.
They could not rationalize, what this thing was. There were some, hospitalizations, treatment of shock, at that time for, some of these witnesses that had seen this creature. So, and even to this day, if you talk to some of those people, you can detect, that fear and kind of just a general not knowing what it was.
The Mothman sightings ended on December 15th, 1967. That day, the Silver Bridge over the Ohio River buckled and collapsed. It caused the deaths of 46 people. Because of this, the locals came to believe the appearance of the Mothman foretold doom.
Eyewitnesses often are the only evidence we have and can be effective in identifying culprits of crime. They can also be terribly flawed.
David Weaver is an artist who specializes in creating detailed sketches based on witness testimony. He will attempt to put a face on the Mothman.
Forensic sketches can be very accurate if executed carefully. The process that is normally used in a composite rendering would have a witness select from a catalog of characteristics. Under these circumstances, this is a very strange phenomenon. We won't be able to refer to human characteristics from a facial coding catalog.
Weaver will use simple geometric shapes to come up with a form for the monster.
During this interview process, I'll be watching carefully for any similar features, repeating structure and patterns. If there are similarities across these multiple interviews, across multiple states, similar characteristics in the appearance of this phenomenon, we'll do a final composite rendering. And how far did these wings move out laterally? Were they 1 foot, 2 feet, 3 feet?
3 feet anyway.
So right now I have just a basic form.
The wings came up, around and down.
Up high?
Mm-hmm.
Like this?
Mm-hmm. It's just about what it looked like.
What would you change?
Just the eyes, they were just a lot bigger.
A lot bigger.
That's good.
The science team is testing the theory that the beast is a known animal.
The barred owl is a medium-sized owl. The size depends on whether they're male or female. Height-wise, about 1.5 to 2 feet, with the males being the smaller. And wingspan-wise, going from a little over 3 feet to maybe 4.5 feet. Most owls have red eye shine, and what happens is that the light comes into the eye, passes through the retina, and behind the retina there's an area called the tapetum, and that area has a lot of reflective cells on it, so that the light bounces off of that layer and then bounces back onto the retina, so that all of the light available is usable for the owl to hunt with.
Do that, I'll get it. We need some more here, so we'll double check this.
The first test they'll conduct is a perception experiment to verify the witness accounts.
Very good.
The team believes the witnesses saw something small, but due to fear, they've exaggerated the size of the beast.
When people have an encounter with something like Mothman, they're seeing something unfamiliar, they have no frame of reference. So we're doing an experiment where we're going to see how well people do when we show them something rather unexpectedly.
They'll build Mothman silhouettes of different sizes to test this theory.
Kind of walking through the paint.
We've planned something of an obstacle course, as it were, a little winding route, and people will encounter our Mothman cutouts at different places.
They'll perform the tests at night near where the Mothman was first seen, an abandoned TNT factory. Witnesses must then estimate the size of what they have seen.
How's that right there?
I think it looks pretty good. We probably, we can make this match this side. That's not a problem. I'll just round that off.
Yeah, just
this one here.
Neaten it up a little there. Okay.
You got that? Got that in?
Got it.
The construction of the silhouettes begins. The team is using bicycle reflectors to replicate the glow of Mothman's infamous red eyes.
This one right here.
During the experiment, a volunteer will shine the spotlight toward the figures to illuminate them.
People will have a very short period of time to see the figure, and then they've got to make an estimate. And we have several people doing this, so we'll get some idea how well they do.
Tell you what, this is a perfect place for snakes. There are rattlers down here. Watch your step here, because this gets really narrow. We got the handholds going on.
The expedition team is hiking up Trompelau Mountain, thought to be where the creature lives.
About 2/3 of the way up.
Yeah, and it's the next third. It's going to be the hardest one of all.
It's a good area. I'll tell you, anything could just loft.
Yeah.
Any of these turkey buzzards or eagles up here.
Just take off from the top.
Yep, they just have to jump straight down and they're going.
Don't even have to flap the wings?
Nope, not a bit.
You know, Mark, we've got a lot of dead trees out here. They could be the perfect place for a perch.
Yeah, these dead trees absolutely make a perfect launching pad.
MonsterQuest is investigating mysterious sightings of the Mothman, from the Midwest to Appalachia. This frightening beast has long been rumored to be an omen of doom.
The eyes was the reddest I've ever seen in my life. And to this day, I've never seen anything that red.
13-year-old Faye DeWitt Laporte and her siblings decided to see if they could find the mythical beast said to be haunting Point Pleasant, West Virginia. They drove to the beast's rumored hiding place.
We hadn't gone but just a few feet, and there it was running right beside the car.
Terrified, Faye found herself face to face with the creature through a car window.
All I could see was the eyes. They were so big other than anything else on his face that they just held you, and that's about all you saw.
In a panic,
Get down, you guys, get down!
Faye told her younger siblings to hide, and her older brother drove as fast as he could around a sharp corner to try and lose the creature. But the beast was simply too fast.
It turned right along with us and followed us right along up in there until my brother whipped around again, another sharp turn, and turned the car sideways in the road and then stopped. And when he did that, it jumped on the hood of the car and looked at us.
The creature leaped to the top of a nearby abandoned building. Faye's brother got out of the car and started throwing rocks at the monster.
Finally, he threw a little bit larger one that landed right by its foot, and that's when it stood up, and it kind of looked at him, and then it turned sideways and jumped back down from the roof.
Faye's brother rushed back to the car. The creature flew off into the darkness, leaving the children stunned.
That was one and only time that I saw any kind of wings. I'd say it's close to 5-6 feet span there, but I knew they were big enough to have to carry something like that.
MonsterQuest's forensic artist is creating a composite sketch to compare to the most recent witness descriptions. It may confirm the return of the creature.
The eyes almost took up its whole face. That's why it was so weird.
I'm gonna move these up like this.
It was the largest part in its face was its eyes.
Many here believe that the beast foretold of the Silver Bridge collapse by appearing in the months leading up to the disaster, a warning of sorts.
I've talked to people who felt that this Mothman creature was something of a religious nature, that it wasn't just a skin and bones creature in front of them, but it was actually some sort of a warning, a dark angel of some sort. A lot of the original witnesses explained to me that they always had a sense of paranoia, that they would always look over their shoulder. Some wouldn't drive at nighttime. They just felt that they were always being watched, and even to this day, that holds true.
The disaster of the Silver Bridge collapse, which was blamed on the Mothman, was actually found to be caused by a weakening of a link in the bridge's suspension cable.
If you can picture a bicycle chain, one of the cogs in a bicycle chain, if it would happen to break, the entire chain breaks, and that's exactly what happened with the Silver Bridge collapse. And 46 people, lost their lives. It changed the town of Point Pleasant forever, and it's hard really to talk to anybody who was not impacted by that tragedy.
The Mothman's reputation as a sign of impending doom was reinforced by other sightings, including in New York City prior to the attacks of 9/11. In Mexico before the outbreak of the H1N1 virus. and just 1 month before the collapse of Minnesota's Interstate 35 bridge in 2007.
Thermocam, you got your spotlight?
Got it.
So we're gonna go out and see if we can find anything in the woods out here.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Let's go and find it.
Peterson and Redfern have completed their survey of the mountain and are preparing for a nocturnal reconnaissance mission.
Some of these trails out here we could follow. They go up and down in these valleys. It'll be a little bit easier night travel for us.
They will be armed with a thermal imaging system and a spotlight camera modified to capture eye reflections at long distances.
Well,
they've identified likely spots where a winged predator would hide.
See if we see any giant tracks. So we've got coyotes, coon, deer. This is like a haven for everything. See, the coyote went right through here. That's a really good coyote track right there. Tons of coon. This is a nice little water source that's real easy to get to for any prey or predator down here. Some barred owls.
The team is prepared for nocturnal animals.
I'd love to find some barred owls or great horned owls out here. If we can find any hot spots in the woods, they're obviously animals.
Yeah.
And then we can hit them with the spotlight and see what kind of eye shine we get.
Okay. That's one of the important aspects of the Mothman story, is that the creature supposedly had glowing eyes. So I guess if we can get some sort of comparative data from other animals, we can either rule one in or rule it out and just see where we go.
They test their equipment.
Yeah, I'm getting nothing this way, Mark. Maybe we need to perhaps press in a little bit deeper and see what we can find.
They set up in a location with a wide vantage point
If we set up on the edge of this field
and begin their effort to entice the Mothman with animal calls projected over a long distance.
The hope would be is that we can call in a barred owl here.
Yeah.
And
do a few comparisons.
Yeah. You know, anytime nighttime, I mean, that's a whole nother world of animals. Yeah. You can just get anything coming through here.
You don't really realize in the daytime what could be out there at night.
No.
Look at that.
There you go.
Our minds and our brains don't work anything like a tape recorder. There's all kinds of ways in which memories can be distorted.
Dr. Chad Marsalek is a professor of psychology at the University of Minnesota and an expert on memory distortion.
In a situation when somebody views something that's really very unusual, very out of the ordinary, one thing that's almost certain is that emotions will get engaged. That emotional reactivity we've been finding in my laboratory has effects on the memories that are formed for the experience.
Marsalek found that when people view a disturbing image, they were highly confident in their memory of that image, even if their memory was wrong.
That high confidence is unfortunate in that it's not accompanied by higher than normal accuracy in the memory. The objective accuracy of the memory can be relatively poor, but we might still be very highly confident that we had it right.
Marsalek also says a weapon focus effect may be influencing their sightings.
In the experience of sighting a Mothman, one might imagine that especially glowing red eyes would be the parts of the visual experience that are quite salient. It's quite possible that this kind of weapon focus effect could be responsible for very good memory for the eyes, but poorer memory, maybe even distorted memory for the larger shape of whatever it was that was viewed.
So here we go. Okay.
All right, yeah.
The science team will be testing these theories of misidentification.
We're using 3 different figures.
Using different depictions of the creature, they will test witness perceptions.
The small one is 2 feet high, the next one is 4 feet high, and the big one, the giant Mothman, is 8 feet tall.
The witnesses will drive down a darkened road and figures will be illuminated. The witnesses will then be interviewed and asked to estimate the size of what they saw.
Here we go. We have contact.
MonsterQuest is searching the country for evidence of the legendary Mothman. Over the decades, it has been spotted at sites of tragedy, and it may be reappearing across the country.
It's such an eerie feeling to see something like right out of a horror movie.
One of the most recent sightings occurred in Sacramento, California. Photographer Lamont Greer was taking photos of a local bridge when he spotted the creature.
I had just finished filming the backside of the bridge. So I was bent down, putting my camera in the back of my camera bag, and I just kind of felt something looking at me.
Greer peered through the darkness and saw a shadowy figure on top of the bridge.
When I first saw it, I didn't know what it was, because it could have been anything, you know, it's late at night. And then as my eyes kind of focused on it better, I said, you know, there's something up there. It kind of spread wings and then it started flying off. That's when I could see the extension of the body.
Greer tried to photograph the strange creature, but it was too fast. It disappeared over his head, leaving him terrified and shaken.
It wasn't a man, it wasn't a bird. It was something that was absolutely strange and something unique. I mean, if it wanted to come down and really hurt someone or attack, it absolutely could definitely cause damage.
Okay, he's craning his neck. He's trying to get a good look. I think he's seen the second one.
The science team is conducting a perception experiment to determine how accurate descriptions of the Mothman's size might really be.
Here we go. We have contact.
The team shines a spotlight to illuminate 3 Mothman figures along the side of the road. The witnesses' responses are monitored and recorded for analysis.
You tell me when to look? That was like a mini Mothman.
The witnesses are then interviewed.
Here they are. Okay, I'm just going to ask you a simple question. What was the first one that you saw? Can you estimate the height?
The first one was approximately 5.5 to 6 feet tall.
And did you see 3 images?
Yes.
Can you tell me the height of the first?
I'd say probably about 7 feet.
Okay, number 1.
Number 1, 5 feet 5 inches.
I would say probably 2 feet.
And the second image?
It didn't look very tall from where it was, but it looked about 2 feet tall from where I was.
About 4 foot.
Second one was pretty small, 20 inches tall.
And finally, the third image.
Third one, about 3.5 feet tall.
Maybe like 5 foot.
I'd say about 6 foot.
6 feet, okay.
The estimated size varies widely, depending on the witness.
So the third image again was
about 18 inches tall.
18 inches tall. You could look at some of the data and say they did a pretty good job judging height. It's important to note, however, that no fewer than 3 people on one of the targets doubled the size of it.
These discrepancies show that the witnesses overestimated the size of the Mothman. The results call into question what people are saying.
I think that people are not good at this. And they would be really poor if they saw something actually moving and wild. I think they would be a lot worse.
have a look.
The expedition team is staking out the woods near La Crosse, Wisconsin, the location of some of the most recent sightings.
Come on, we need a hot spot.
The team has seen some hot spots on the camera, but nothing they can identify. They decide to try another location.
Shine. Yep, just like that, but shine ahead of us if you can. Get it out the window. Get it out the window.
There you go, there's something. I don't know if that's an animal.
Something is out there, and 2 deer seem to be fleeing the area. Redfern and Peterson try to locate the creature chasing the deer.
Right there. There you go, to the right. See him?
Oh, yeah.
Just walk straight ahead. To the right. Okay, stop.
Then something comes into view.
Are you recording it?
Yeah.
Can you see him? You gotta get out of the trees. Go to the left and try and find him. See him all to the left?
MonsterQuest is searching for evidence of the mysterious creature known as the Mothman. The beast has terrified witnesses for more than 40 years and seems to be appearing again with increased frequency. This man had a terrifying encounter with a winged beast. This woman was the first witness to come face to face with the monster. This photographer saw the creature on top of a bridge.
Stop.
Yeah, I'm getting some eye shine.
Nick Redfern and Mark Peterson have been searching the woods near La Crosse, Wisconsin.
Okay, stop.
Something unknown has spooked the deer in their search area.
Do you know where the zoom is on this?
You got green eye shine there?
Well, I got bright eye shine.
I got my hot spots out there right in the middle. That's cool. This is working good. You got her going on, Nick?
Oh yeah, it's on record. So I've got 2 pairs of eyes. I've got him on full zoom. Now he's looking right at me.
The team realizes what they are seeing are more deer, but the effect of the eye shine is startling.
Yeah, I've got some nice eye shine now.
Yep.
Here he goes. That's cool. Now they seem to have vanished.
Still got more out there?
No, I don't see either of those 2.
A beautiful image.
Okay.
The team decides to head to their truck to start the journey back to camp.
I think, we achieved a lot of good stuff. For me, at least, I was really surprised and pleased that when we went up the mountain, it really kind of, I suppose, fleshed out these legends that the Native American Indians had. You can really imagine a large winged creature living on this isolated peak.
What I thought was really cool, too, is the barred owls. They have red eye shine, bright, glowing red eye shine.
Right.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's cool. I mean, a lot of people talk about these red eyes, and if we can kind of find, some sort of evidence that some creatures do have red eyes, then maybe we're a step closer to understanding what Mothman might be.
Right.
Back at the camp, they review photos of a mutilated deer found near a recent sighting.
This tells me, obviously, the rear quarter of the deer, the rear quarters are completely gone. The back strap is taken clean out. It's not ripped out. You can see all the way down, all the vertebrae.
It appears as though the deer was brutally attacked. But Peterson sees something telling.
See the hide is all rolled up to the front. They rolled the front hide up to get at the back straps, which are obviously one of your choice cuts. So to me, what this is, it's a poacher's cut is what it is. It's a quick way of getting the biggest hunks of meat out without getting caught, so to speak.
Okay, so we can, I guess, rule out this animal kill as being connected with the work of any sort of large aerial predator.
But this is definitely done by a human. This one here is definitely a poacher's cut.
All right.
Done by humans.
Forensic artist David Weaver has met with Mothman witnesses across the country.
From the description from back at Point Pleasant, moving forward to today in Sacramento, the similarities are just too great. Normally, I draw composites from witness descriptions of bank robbers and rapists and occasionally a homicide suspect. In this case, we're drawing something that scientifically may or may not exist, and yet these witnesses have huge similarities and were obviously traumatized. They definitely saw something.
The sketches bear a striking resemblance to each other. These similarities indicate that all the witnesses could have been seeing the same creature.
From a forensic, scientific perspective, we have to be guarded. Eyewitness testimony needs to be corroborated. And yet there's something going on. These witnesses were true in their interviews with me, as far as I can tell. The hope is more information will come forward, maybe more witnesses will come forward. Maybe someday we'll find a hair or a fiber or a footprint or an actual creature.
This MonsterQuest investigation has yielded startling results. The expedition team found the location of the Wisconsin sighting to be the perfect habitat for a large winged creature.
Beautiful areas for
The science team's experiment has determined that witnesses do not accurately judge the size of what they saw. But the similarities in the description suggest that they are seeing the same thing.
Since this has happened, if I talk about it, and the more I talk about it, things happen, and it's different. It's hard to explain. People get sick, bad things happen. We feel like we're being watched, but I think it needs to be told. So other people that see these things really understand that, hey, they might exist.
We've studied this for decades now. Something surfaces, some incident, some report, and then by psychological contagion, others begin to see it.
Personally, I really have no idea what these people encountered, but I feel that they did encounter something, and I really don't think anybody will ever be able to fully explain the mystery behind the Mothman, because it happened so long ago, but it could still be happening today.
Something is lurking.
I was just astounded at the size of it.
In our homes and backyards.
The baby's dead. At the length of 13 feet, it's got enough venom to drop and kill an 8,000-pound elephant.
Hidden in plain view.
Hybrids are often problematic.
A beast that's appearing where it shouldn't be.
Some of the worst invasive species are often hybrids.
MonsterQuest is searching for pythons in America.
Got him. Ah!
Witnesses around the world report seeing monsters. Are they real or imaginary? Science searches for answers on MonsterQuest. The Everglades, Florida. This lush tropical paradise with warm, temperate weather is popular with tourists. But something frightening may be making its home here. A slithering menace that strikes fear in the hearts of many.
20 feet long. It was absolutely huge.
It's large enough to kill an adult human.
They could literally stretch their jaws 3 times the normal diameter.
We've had a baby strangled by a 12-foot python.
Eyewitnesses report seeing massive serpents measuring 15 to 20 feet in length and weighing up to 400 pounds. They're known to suffocate, then swallow their prey whole. These beasts have brown or black scales and most closely resemble giant pythons.
Never have I seen anything like this and as tragic as this.
In the middle of the night, a large Burmese python escaped from its enclosure. Suddenly free to roam the house, it slithered into the room of the family's youngest child. The python attacked the 2-year-old girl who was sleeping in her crib.
911, do you need police, fire, or an ambulance?
It's an emergency.
Okay, what do you need? You need a police, fire, or an ambulance?
I don't know, the baby's dead.
The snake, it appears it had gotten up on a toy chest and then into the crib. The boyfriend of the baby's mother discovered the snake that morning, wrapped around the child in the crib. He immediately grabbed a knife and a meat cleaver and started stabbing that snake until he was able to release the baby from the grips of the snake.
Tell me exactly what happened.
Our snake, we have a Burmese python, and she's about 12 foot long. She got out of the cage last night and got into the baby's crib and strangled her to death.
Stay on the line, please.
The police responded to the scene and began to hunt for the killer python.
I get there, and they're explaining to me that the victim is in the ambulance, already been pronounced deceased, and that the snake was still in the residence.
Florida Wildlife Commission officers were called in to remove the illegally owned monster Burmese python.
We weren't sure whether the snake was going to be alive or dead when we went into the residence. It turned out to still be alive. Well, the snake was wounded, so you don't know how a wounded snake would react.
Pythons are not indigenous to the United States, but wildlife officials from across the country have been inundated with reports of these massive snakes.
This Burmese python was captured in Apopka, Florida. This monster's approximately 20 feet in length and weighs over 300 pounds.
These deadly beasts are coming into contact with man more often. However, some experts are skeptical of the danger to humans. This researcher says snakes simply are not aggressive.
I think the biggest misconceptions that most people have are that snakes are out to get them, that they care about people, and that's completely false.
Dr. Whit Gibbons studies these invading predators at the Savannah River Ecology Lab in South Carolina.
Snakes want to get away from people, and the responses of snakes where they do bite people are totally in defense. It's because the snakes are scared and they are defending themselves.
Gibbons agrees that the population of foreign species may be expanding.
If we have individuals that have a genetic predisposition to living in a temperate area, they could persist possibly in some areas way outside of Florida.
Now, MonsterQuest will launch a search to confirm reports that invasive pythons are taking over places like Florida. The search will start near the Everglades National Park, not far from the homes, playgrounds, and schools of heavily populated South Miami.
Okay, so this is the Everglades National Park right here. Bob, what area do you think we should search for down here, you and I?
Animal expert Dale Pearson will lead the search near the Everglades.
And I think we'll go close to the national park boundary right over here near this urban area.
Pearson will be aided by local guide Bob Freer.
We'll scout the area so we'll know what it is we're looking at when we go out at night. But give us a chance to kind of look around, see if we can find out where maybe some of the snakes are holding up during the day. And then we'll go out at night and do some more building working around the urban area and some road running.
The science team will test whether the massive snakes have migrated to other parts of the country. Joe Wasilewski, a wildlife biologist, will explore New York's Central Park, where invading snakes have been reported. He will see if environmental conditions could support a breeding population of these deadly predators.
All right, well, I'm going to New York, and then we're going to check Central Park to see if it could hold a big constrictor and if the animal could live there. And then we're headed to some subways, and we're going to check in the subways if their snakes are down there.
Pearson briefs Wasilewski on 2 modified pieces of camera technology that will aid in his search.
We got the micron infrared system. We can use that, temperature and stuff like that. We're gonna have it dialed into pythons in an urban environment down here. So when we send it up, it'll already be calibrated for that. So all you'll have to do is take it, aim and shoot.
Okay, and this?
That's the lipstick cam. We've got a couple of mag lights on it, and that's been good for like, you know, you can go in some underneath stairwells and in drain pipes and things like that. Be able to check it out without sticking your hand in there. All right, well, it sounds like a good plan, you know. I'll get the gear all ready, and then let's see what we can find.
Good luck.
All right, you too, man.
To help familiarize Pearson with the snakes they might encounter, Freer shows him some of the pythons that he has captured.
So, you caught a 20-foot python around about 3 miles from here.
Correct, yeah.
And then you've also been finding a lot of these Burmese pythons.
Yeah. You have 4 rows of teeth on the top, 2 on the bottom, over 100 teeth. They basically curve back like fish hooks. So when they grab their prey with their teeth, yeah, it's not getting loose.
So if one of us gets nailed tonight, then that's a good chance that's gonna tear us open then.
Very good chance. Once they bite, he'll start to twist and wrap, which will pull his head around at an angle, and yeah, it's gonna be quite painful.
What are you guys finding that these things are actually eating?
Some of the most astounding things, I think, it's probably the fact that they're eating alligators. Who would have thought that, you know, it's a snake would be eating an alligator? And the largest mammal I've heard of so far is a bobcat, which is, you know, quite a large cat.
And so how far are we away from, like, a population center around here? I mean, how close is our people?
You'll be in a residential area straight east of here, about 200 yards.
So these things are coming right up to the edge of a population centers. It's not like you have to travel deep into the Everglades to find them.
They're not only coming right up to the edge of the urban areas, they're actually venturing right in.
The team drives to its staging location near the Everglades. The abandoned factory's foundation is full of stagnant water, crumbling concrete, and abundant hiding places. It's an ideal breeding ground for these monster snakes.
So this is the place, huh?
This is where we want to try your fancy little camera.
All right, well, we'll see if we got anything living in the ductwork or in the pipes, and give it a shot.
All right.
The structure is 150 feet high and surrounded by catwalks. The team starts its search at the building's highest point.
Like right up in here. Oh, damn, look at those spiders.
Abandoned for 50 years, the walls are filled with insulation and debris.
Looks like that area's pretty clean. Or at least there's no pythons in it.
The team walks the perimeter, looking for spots where the camera can investigate hidden areas.
Yeah, let's go ahead and check.
There we go. What do you think about this one right there?
Yeah, let's try it.
The team notices an open grate above what was once a sub-basement loading dock.
Look, you see the water, how the water's moving down there?
Yeah.
Something big is moving around in the water down there.
Look at that.
What the hell?
You see anything in there? That was something like surfaced.
Pearson and Freer are unable to see what is moving in the water. They decide to wait for nightfall, when the thermal camera will reveal more.
Probably we've done enough for the day. It's just too hot. Let's go ahead and come back out this evening when it cools down. They start to come out moving around.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah, I'm ready for that.
MonsterQuest is searching for giant pythons that may be taking over Florida. Monster snakes have been feared in North America since the earliest settlers arrived on its shores.
America is expected to find monsters when they arrived in an unknown land, and they did to some extent.
The Europeans encountered deadly snakes previously unknown to them. They found the snake was an integral part of Native American culture. The settlers also discovered prehistoric burial mounds in the shape of giant snakes.
The Americans took a perverse pride in the monstrousness of the wildlife and compared themselves to rattlesnakes and said, "We are dangerous, we cannot be toyed with, don't tread on us." And the rattlesnake became a sort of American icon to represent the independence and the dangerousness of the American settlers.
In 1897, the New York Times reported that a large python was killing natives on a small island in the Florida Keys. They sent a search party into the woods and found a 34-foot python eating a deer. It was later discovered that the snake had escaped from a circus. In 1904, another New York Times article described a snake 2 stories long that had slipped out of the 3rd-floor window of a bird and animal store. It was eventually recovered, but only after a crowd of several hundred had gathered to watch the capture. A natural disaster in 1992 was likely the cause of the explosion of the python population in Florida.
Hurricane Andrew did a tremendous amount of damage to facilities and homes in urban areas in South Florida when it struck. Its eye went right over the center of the warehouse area where most of the tropical pets coming into the United States are kept.
Gordon Rhoda is a zoologist who has studied the Burmese python and found them to be one of the most adaptable species of large snakes.
The species of python that's spreading rapidly through South Florida at the moment is frequently called the Burmese python, which is technically a subspecies of the Indian python. The species as a whole has an incredibly wide habitat range. So it occurs everywhere from thorn scrub deserts to mountainous areas, to coastal plains, to tropical rainforests, to swampy areas, to many different kinds of environments. Problem of the Burmese python in South Florida is new in the sense that the population has really rocketed off, became very numerous only quite recently.
Rhoda says the python population is spreading.
They're just at the very southern tip, and then they were a little further north, and then a little further north, and now they're north of Okeechobee, and now we're getting reports up near Tampa. So the evidence is they're spreading north.
Rhoda has designed a study to determine what areas of the country have a climate suited to the Burmese python.
Our study was designed to figure out how much of the United States is at risk from possible colonization by the Burmese python. The reason that's important is that we and many other people had assumed that this is a tropical animal that couldn't become established in the temperate United States. So we did a climate match, and we're surprised to learn that, in fact, it can occur in very temperate areas.
The study projects that continued changes in temperature will open new corridors for python migration.
There are about 10 or 12 species in the genus Python. Now, whether they will breed with each other in many cases is not known because their natural ranges don't overlap. In Florida, they do occur together. Because they're so closely related and because in captivity they will breed together and produce offspring, there's reason to be concerned about hybridization occurring. Some of the worst invasive species, especially plants, are often hybrids, that the hybrids, for one reason or another, have that combination of traits that is lacking in the wild types, but makes them very good at being invasive species.
Rhoda believes that pythons could now currently invade areas as far north as Washington, D.C.
With global climate change, it will extend further north. The climate match will go further north. By the turn of this century, places like New York City would be within the climate match.
The science team is in New York to determine if this is a suitable habitat for pythons to survive and breed.
There is a theory in existence right now that pythons can go as far north as here in New York and west over to San Francisco. And we're just here today just to kind of check it out to see the feasibility of that theory.
Joe Wasilewski makes his way to Central Park.
There's not many wild places left in New York City, but Central Park is about 800 acres of greenery. And if there were a snake anywhere in New York City, this is a good place for it to be. Snakes like warm-blooded prey, and there's chipmunks and squirrels and running around all over, and all different types of birds. So there's a lot of potential prey here. They like shelter. They like rock outcroppings and any other type of shelter. So any area like that, you could turn up a snake.
Pythons can survive in temperatures as low as 40 degrees.
All in all, snakes being cold-blooded, like warm temperatures. I found some of these really neat hollow logs, and I'm gonna check a few of them. If there's any snake around, he could be inside here.
The team has brought a lipstick camera to search inside fallen logs.
I think our best bet is to come back at night and check this with the thermal cam.
Even though snakes are cold-blooded, the thermal camera can still be used, as pythons can generate a small amount of body heat through muscular contractions.
There's something.
When I saw the size of the head and the body sticking out onto the roadway, I realized that, yeah, there's no way I could catch this up by myself.
Bob Freer was called to remove a snake from a backyard, but he was skeptical of the snake's size.
Occasionally, we'd be getting calls throughout the year on huge snakes, and the huge snakes usually ended up being about 7 to 8 feet long. The person that called me was familiar with pythons and said he was positive it was a python, and said it's huge.
Seeing the creature, Freer was shocked.
The head was actually the size of my two hands together. It was huge. And I couldn't see the whole body, and it was going back into the woods. But I was like all the other people that called me. I swear this snake had to be 20 feet long. It was absolutely huge.
Freer realized the beast was too big to handle alone.
So we went over there, and as we're getting ready to grab it, we're trying to decide, well, do we grab it like it's a lost pet, or do we, grab it quickly and hold it like it's an aggressive snake? And when we got closer to it and started to see the size of it, we thought we'd probably better grab a hold of it and hold on, because if it turned out it was aggressive and somebody got bit by it, it was going to be bad. When I jumped on the snake and grabbed its head, the minute it opens its mouth, I realized, yeah, it wasn't somebody's pet. It was mean, it was aggressive. Hey, I wasn't sure if I could hold on it. It was twisting out of my hands. Maybe I should have waited for some more help.
Freer and his colleagues were able to wrestle the snake into submission.
No doubt about it, this was a monstrous snake living right in people's backyards in the urban area. How a snake could be living in this type of area and not be seen before this is just amazing.
The expedition team is investigating a location on the edge of the Florida Everglades where they suspect giant pythons may be breeding.
It looks like something laying behind there in the dark, or behind these. Right up in here somewhere, right under this.
Good hiding place for smaller snakes.
Yeah, but it also keeps in heat energy in this rubber right here, and this right here ends up looking like a coiled up snake. I'm just gonna try to turn the sensitivity down just a little bit. Try to cut down the false readings. Here's another entrance to the duct system down here low. Ow! Son of a biscuit. And this place is just jagged edges all over. A python could get right up that right there though. So I've pretty much scanned this whole building.
Yeah,
Not catching nothing here yet.
Yeah, I think we probably ought to hit the road a little bit, do some road running, and we can do that on the way to another building. So if we don't have luck on the road, we'll move to the building.
All right. Sounds good.
Let's do it then.
The team emerges from the old factory and adjusts their equipment for a search of the nearby area. Their find comes quickly.
You want to turn this record deck off, Troy?
I got one over here. Got one over here. See it over to the right of you, Dale?
Oh, yup. You ready? Got him. Nice. All right. Baby Burmese python. Fresh hatch. They are breeding here in this location. We got one. For real, for real.
MonsterQuest is in Florida, where giant pythons may be breeding and could start to threaten man. In the 20 years since Hurricane Andrew, large snakes have increased in number throughout Florida.
The dangers of pythons in urban areas is very complex. First of all, you have the dangers to the normal wildlife, the ecology that's out there. They're eating everything that's moving. Our birds, our mammals, anything. There's also the danger to our pets, our cats and dogs. And then, of course, there's the danger to humans. These animals are doing what they normally do in the wild. They're hunting for their food. And this year alone, we've ran over 50 calls where we've gone out and responded and recovered pythons.
And pythons aren't the only deadly snakes in the area.
I was going to die.
Pablo Viscoso was installing cable TV at a local apartment complex.
I had to run a cable in the backyard. So the backyard has a lot of bushes and trees. So when I tried to reach one of them, I put my arm in one coconut tree to reach it, to balance myself, and I got bitten by a snake.
The pain was immediate, but Viscoso didn't realize just how injured he was.
He has a numbness on my arm right away. And I keep moving my arm because I can feel, it's like your arm is slipping or something. But I didn't know there was a snake. I just felt something, and when I pulled my arm, I saw the snake going down the tree. So that's how I realized it was a snake bite.
He was struck by a green mamba, a deadly, venomous tree snake indigenous to East Africa. The snake's venom quickly began to take effect.
I started feeling worse, My face was, it was kind of like, they said kind of like a one stroke. Half of my right side of my face. I have no feeling on it. In my arm, all the right side. At that point, I think I would die. I was going to die.
The Miami-Dade Fire Department was called, and the anti-venom needed to save his life was administered.
If one of these African green mamas bit me, yes, I'm very sure that it's more foreign snakes over here in Florida.
Even more terrifying than deadly venomous snakes is the possibility of crossbreeding between snake species.
Exotic snakes are sold all over the United States. In fact, online, you could just type in and buy pretty much whatever kind of exotic snake you want, from pythons to boas to whatever.
Snakes that would never meet in their natural habitats now intermingle in Florida. This causes some to fear a monster hybrid, a snake with crushing strength of a constrictor and the deadly venom of a cobra.
There's some scientist that's terrified that they're going to get together and they're going to reproduce and provide some kind of monster snake.
Wasilewski says that hybrids could happen only within the same family of snakes.
When two snakes that are very closely related, when their ranges overlap, sometimes there's some hybridization that takes place in the wild. Pythons are more likely to crossbreed or hybridize than other snakes. Usually it's hard to tell them apart. Sometimes they have characteristics of both. Sometimes they retain more of the characteristics of one or the other.
Scientists have proven that hybridization of snakes is not uncommon.
In terms of hybrids, I know of people that have bred rat snakes and king snakes. People have crossbred reticulated pythons with Burmese pythons. And there is some instances of African rock pythons with Burmese pythons.
Wasilewski is investigating whether the habitat of New York could be a likely location for breeding. He's looking for pythons, the most adaptable of the exotic breeds.
Night has fallen here in Central Park. Now that it's dark, it's time for me to look for the snakes.
An abundant food source would be the first necessity.
Oh, there's something. Wait a minute. What is that, a rat? Cat? It's moving off a raccoon? Wait. It's going right up the tree. There it is. It's a raccoon. You know, everyone knows they eat rats, squirrels, and things like that. But Burmese pythons really like raccoons. We found raccoons in their stomachs on more than one occasion. Well, we checked and we didn't find any snakes. However, we did see a lot of native wildlife, which means there is food for snakes, so there is a chance they could be here. But I think I've got one more place to check tomorrow.
The expedition team has found a baby python near the Florida Everglades.
Got him. How old is this one right here?
Just a couple months. Just a couple of months.
Look at that, man. You did it, man. You brought us right to him. And if this one right here is an indication of anything, it's an indication that they are breeding here, for sure. I guarantee you somebody didn't just come lose their baby python out here. Oh, he almost tried
to bite you a little bit, didn't he?
And he's squeezing on my hand there. You can feel even this little tiny baby one has got a little bit of power to him. How many offspring can a decent-sized Burmese python produce?
24, 28 is very common, and into the 50s and 60s, not even unheard of.
These things can...
They can put out the eggs, yeah.
Wow. I don't know. What do you think? You think we should sweep around the rest of this building, see if there's any more babies or anything around here, or what do you think?
I'd really think we ought to get to the road, and I want to catch a big one, and we need to get on the road and start looking for them to cross.
Suddenly, one of the team members sounds an alert. They have found the beast.
He's all the way down the other end, too. He said to hurry, so that means it's not a baby.
MonsterQuest is investigating whether giant pythons could be invading America.
It just completely blew my mind. This is not a natural habitat for a large snake.
It was a peaceful fall day in Central Park with children playing, but something terrible was lurking.
That's a good copy. Our department was notified by an individual that there was a snake in a rock. My division responded.
The 9-foot boa constrictor was huge. Panic spread as park rangers and the NYPD were called in.
When we responded, the individual pointed out where the snake was.
The first concern was the public's safety.
But I will also be concerned for people in the sense that they will be scared.
The snake resisted all efforts to remove it from the rocks.
Originally, we tried to gently pull out the snake. That didn't work. The second time around, we tried to pour water on the snake and loosen it up. That didn't work too well either. So eventually, we had to gently chisel the rock away from its body, and then we were able to pull it out of the rock crevice. And at that time, we realized the snake was 9 feet long, and it had a red tail, and it was brown in color.
The park's rangers eventually captured the snake and put it on display in the zoo. The boa was likely released by its owner when the snake got too big.
That snake's length is taller than I am.
Joe Wasilewski has moved his investigation to a warm location, an abandoned subway tunnel, which could provide shelter for snakes during the colder winter months.
We haven't checked underground. This could be a place where snakes could live. So while we're here in New York, we're going to check it. This looks like a good spot. Let's see what we got here. Is check the temperature and humidity down here. I have this particular device that measures both. I'd sooner think there'd be some type of amphibian and salamander or frog down here than a snake. But this thing goes for 5 blocks. There are little ways that snakes can get down, and they like humidities in the range of 65, 70 to 80, 85%. So snakes like it warm, and they like it a little on the moist side.
Wasilewski explores deeper into the tunnel and finds a good place to use the lipstick camera.
Let's see if it fits in this storm drain. No, nothing in there. But there's a lot of areas to look in here. Maybe when a cold front comes, it might run some of those snakes into that storm drain, and they might actually come down here. With the constant temperature that it has here, and the humidity, I mean, it's really good for a snake. So it is possible that they could use this because snakes use what they call a hibernaculum, which is underground, usually under the frost line. And I believe this place here would fit the bill.
In Florida, the expedition is searching the Everglades for deadly giant pythons. The team has just received a call.
He said to hurry, so that means it's not a baby.
Someone take my backpack.
Take the hook, and let's drag them into the roadway so we're sure we don't lose them.
Ah!
Yep. Yep. Come on over this way. Walk right around. Yep, there you go.
Use the fat end.
That's good. You got him.
Got him.
You got him. Okay, now you're going to stop these from coiling around you. No, stay back. Yeah, okay.
Okay, now we'll go ahead and examine him a little bit, and you can see where something's got his head, and we're...
Recently, too, that's a fresh wound on his head. Look at the top of his head is gouged open. He's got maggots in there. I'm surprised he's still alive. Oh, I'm losing.
And keep pushing the coils down as he tries to coil around you. Just take your hand, push those down.
Yeah. Oh, nice. I can't believe these things are frickin' living wild in Florida. It's not a myth, it's real. There's really gnarly pythons living in Florida. Whoever says it's not true is full of crap. Because this...
Switch hands on the neck. Grab his neck with the other hand.
This thing is as much as one person can handle. And this is what is this, Bob? What do you think, 6 foot?
6 foot?
7 foot?
No, you're good, it's a good 10 foot.
All I know is that it's everything I can do to keep this thing from frickin' breaking my wrist, so. Yeah, he's wrapping my hand right now. You can feel it, you'd probably crush your hand.
Yep, go ahead. Yep, okay. Hey, watch your hand now.
His head's already come around. His head's come around.
Yep. Okay. There it is.
Did that just happen? Wow. I'm shaking.
MonsterQuest is searching for giant pythons in America. These deadly beasts may be spreading across the country. This snake expert survived an encounter with a 20-foot Burmese python. This scientist believes that pythons can survive much further north than previously believed. This park ranger captured a large boa constrictor in Central Park. This researcher has gone hunting for python wintering spots deep underground. And the expedition team found a giant python in the Everglades.
Now it's got my other arm. For anybody that doesn't believe that this animal is here and that it's established, I just spent 15 minutes on the side of the road wrestling with a 10-foot animal, and it's completely real. They're actually here, they're actually breeding, and they can get to be 15 to 20 feet long.
The injured Burmese python was taken to a veterinarian who confirmed that the beast had been injured by a human.
See, it's got a tick on him.
This looks to me like chop with a machete, and it got away. Think if it was a gator, he'd have wounds on the bottom.
Something underneath, yep.
And so what they're doing is they're taking the heads and then just trying to chop like this. And of course, you chop him once, he struggles, chops again, and then he gets away.
Yeah.
And their brain is very small. Jen, I don't know if you've ever seen it. Their brain is it's about the size of a pea, right about there, surrounded by a very thick, bony skull. So it could very easily have been hit by a machete, not damage the brain at all.
Even injured, the python was difficult for Pearson to handle, and it would have easily overpowered a child. The team has established that pythons are breeding in Florida, where there are other exotic and deadly snakes.
I have one that I saved kind of last to show you.
Okay.
Not native of here, but unfortunately some escaped after Hurricane Andrew. We also had a handler or a licensed person that didn't keep them well. They escaped. And we have come across a king cobra shedded skin. And we do know for a fact, because we have actually caught other cobras that you know, yes, they are down here, and we can come across them.
In addition to the python infestation you got down here, there's potentially king cobras loose now in southern Florida.
Unfortunately, yes.
King cobras are the largest venomous snakes in the world. They exist in the wild only in Asia.
Wow, that thing is huge.
In Florida alone, there are over 170 licensed owners of venomous snakes, but many go unregistered.
And he's actually eating pythons. We give him some of these Burmese we find. He's a snake eater, yeah.
But the cobras are more likely to eat a python than mate with one.
Okay, to grab his tail and bring it up, Albert?
I can think of no venomous species of snake that would ever hybridize with a python. In the wild, if they saw one another, the bigger one might want to try to eat the other one, but they certainly would never want to breed. And in terms of physical abilities, the organs, the reproductive organs, are completely different. It was like a key in a lock. They would never. A venomous species of snake could never reproduce with the python.
The MonsterQuest team meets to discuss its findings.
How'd it go in New York?
Pretty interesting. Central Park was pretty neat. You know, native snakes can survive there in the cold weather because they're adapted. They can go underground.
Well, we had some good luck.
We had some good luck. We actually caught two. We caught a newborn, maybe a month, 2 months old. Yep.
It's that time of the year.
Yeah. And then we caught. Actually, we didn't get a measure on it, but about a 10-footer.
I guess what this expedition proves is that in South Florida, monsters are real.
Right.
And in this case, it's a 20-foot Burmese python, or a whole community of them breeding close to urban areas.
The team has made some interesting discoveries. There are deadly Burmese pythons breeding near Florida's Everglades, close to the population center of Miami. And even more terrifying, there may be wild king cobras living here. These beasts are increasingly coming into contact with adults and children. The team has also discovered that the underground environments of major metropolitan cities might be warm enough to allow these creatures to exist much further north than previously believed.
The exotic snakes in urban areas, it's going to increase the numbers. It's not going to go away.
It's a novel predator, and it's potentially a serious problem from a human safety standpoint.
The python population, or the problem we have in the Everglades, has not peaked as yet. And I believe the numbers are going to get larger, as well as their sizes are going to get larger over time.
So if you're in the South Florida area, or if you're in an area where you hear that there might be these invasive species out, you need to take it seriously. You can't say, it won't happen to me, it's no big deal. I'm here to tell you right now, these animals are real, they're really out here, and they really can kill you.